Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 6.
Or Episode 28 if you're counting.
Well, I'm almost never counting.
And I'm almost always the one to say that.
But I counted today.
That's good, you actually got the number right.
Yeah, I was a little nervous actually. I really thought I was going to come out and say the complete wrong number and you were going to look at me like I was an idiot and then you were going to have to tell the whole internet that I was an idiot and then I was going to have to put up with the fact that I'm an idiot.
Yeah, but you're good. You didn't have any Mountain Dew today.
That's not true. You did not know this, but I went to get some Baja Blast.
Oh my god.
But this was a long time ago. I've since taken a nap. Like, that's all burned off.
Okay, so it's out of your system.
It's gone. Oh, I promise. It's not there right now.
I'm just saying, if we need to send you to Passages Malibu to get off your Mountain Dew habit, we can do that.
What?
You can be an addict, and then you cannot be one. From Passages... It's a commercial. I should have figured you wouldn't know that since you don't have cable.
Who needs cable? I have the internet.
And so do we, and that's where we get our stories from.
Speaking of said stories, let's go ahead and talk about what we will be talking about here in a few more minutes. I'll be discussing, of course, Tokyo, Japan getting the win for the 2020 Olympics being, of course, held within the city, and that could actually mean some other nerd-related things, considering that Comiket takes place somewhere around the same time. So what could that mean? Well, you're going to have to wait and find out.
I'm going to be talking about a Indiegogo campaign that just started this week for a fan movie that continues the Christopher Nolan stories of Batman entitled The Dark Knight Legacy.
And finally, we're talking about some Resident Evil type stuff here going on with Universal Orlando. Actually, I thought a large hunk of it was also taking place in Universal Studios Japan.
Well, that's originally where they got the idea, but now they're bringing it over here.
Oh, well, that's good news. Anyway, I'm sure you'll help me figure out exactly what that full story is, because I must admit I only know bits and pieces of it, so we're going to talk about that later, too.
Yep, we're going to do it. We're going to talk about it.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. Okay, so right off the bat, we're going to get to our follow-up topic, which is kind of a thing right now. Everybody seems to have an opinion on it. Everyone's chiming in.
You might even be sick of hearing about it, but you know what? Yeah. Let's just get it out of the way now. We don't have to talk about it ever again, hopefully.
Hopefully. What I believe Nash coined the term cosplay gate for this debacle over, which is now, the season has finished airing now of Heroes of Cosplay.
Season. All 6 episodes of it.
Yes, all 6 episodes.
You know, it's kind of notable to mention that there were supposed to be 6 different conventions that it was supposed to have been filmed at, but the 6th turned them down, and so they had to drag out episodes 5 and 6 over the course of one convention, really.
So they pulled a Harry Potter.
It's kind of sad, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really sad considering they only had 6 like 23.5-minute episodes. I mean, come on.
Well, no, the show's an hour.
Oh, yeah. It's hard. There's just not that much content there.
Well,
I mistook it for only being a half-hour program, despite the fact that I watched all those episodes. It just wasn't memorable and not good, except for all the outside drama. I mean, obviously there's drama inside reality programming, but we're talking about, like, this blew up into the external world. Okay, usually reality television doesn't do that.
But in specific for this episode that I believe took place at, what do they call it, Planet Comic-Con?
Is that what it was?
I believe that's what it was. And this big old debacle about how the contest was run, pitting the normal attendees against these quote-unquote heroes of cosplay, forcing them to do skits when none of them had any time or prep, thereby making the stars of the show look that much better, forcibly trying to create drama for show purposes to have something to promote, and then the people involved not wanting to participate with said drama once they realized they had basically kind of been duped to a certain extent, and then realized, hey, wait a minute, this is kind of a setup, let's not contribute any more to it. And on some level, everyone has an opinion about this, whether or not you know a person, or were at the event, or know of somebody involved. Everybody, I guess, in this community now has something to say about it.
Well, it's just... and I brought this up on Tumblr earlier, too, that the thing about Heroes of Cosplay is that unlike other reality programs where it's a controlled environment, you mostly know what you're getting into. They're going to want to create drama among the participants. They're going to more than likely manipulate the environment so that things get turned in a very dramatic way for the sake of television, blah, blah, blah. Like, that is obvious and to be expected.
It's the whole thing of the real world takes place in a house. Big Brother takes place in a house. It's a contained environment.
Yeah, Big Brother takes place in a house. I realized exactly what I might have been getting into had I gotten on King of the Nerds. It would have been a controlled environment that we wouldn't have been allowed to leave, and we had no control over what the schedules would be, what the games would be, and then I'm sure people get picked with certain personality types solely so that there can be getting at each other's necks.
Right.
I get that.
But this is a convention environment, and you cannot control everything, and when you try to, people are going to take notice.
Conventions already pre-exist. It can be further proved by the fact that, these conventions already happened that they filmed at.
Right.
So people already are coming back with reports of what they saw, and, before Heroes of Cosplay ever hit the air, okay, people were like, yeah, we saw this production crew, and then things were not going the way that they should, and things looked very rigged, and people were getting kicked out of being able to participate because they wanted to make room for these people for this TV show. This was before Heroes of Cosplay ever hit the air.
Right.
So, people know, and people were already noticeably upset. Now take further this particular instance that got brought up with the final episode, where there were 11 women who dressed up as 11 Doctor Who's, 11 different doctors. Great, that's pretty cool. And apparently it seems that they were, I don't know about lied to. Maybe the show was supposed to be a certain thing and it wasn't, but they were presented with an idea of a show that called Cosworld, I think was. In fact,
that might have been the working title.
I think
originally.
It was. In fact, I think I remember seeing that title when it cropped up on Anime News Network quite some time ago. So these people were led to believe, the people at this particular convention who were just normal attendees, not actually part of the show, if they wanted to participate in the contest, or if they wanted to appear on camera in any capacity, even if just for a brief instance, they had to sign this waiver. And they thought that this was going to be a very different kind of program that was more documentary in nature. But when they ended up seeing just how it was being manipulated and how dragged out this thing had to be, and how these certain particular sci-fi planted people had to reshoot their skit, and it was going well into the night, almost into the next morning, just to complete this, and this masquerade was almost devoid of attendees, viewers watching this show. That's not normal. That is plainly not normal. And when these girls started to realize that they were being manipulated and they were trying to get drama fed, pulled out of them, they then had to take this step back. And yeah, they were painted as the bad guys in this show, and in fact completely redubbed with words that they did not say.
Well, you can see in the episode the creative editing to try and show that, hey, we're trying to insinuate they said this, but if you know anything about editing, just basic line of sight, you can tell when they're cutting between one person talking and another person's still face.
Yeah, you plainly see that this one individual is not even speaking when they have some ADR done.
Right.
Over this individual, and it's sick, it's disgusting. Someone a couple days ago linked me to... one of our listeners linked me to a vlog of Yaya Han within the last few days, it seems, where she tried to further explain what Heroes of Cosplay was, and she was insinuating that, oh, well, it's not meant for, actual cosplayers to watch, because, we obviously all know what cosplay is about. This is for people who need an introduction to cosplay. They don't know what cosplay is.
Well, good job. You gave the worst introduction you possibly could.
Exactly. That is my exact problem with it. Not to mention, she further goes on to elaborate with, cosplay is not about the craftsmanship anymore. It's about, just throwing on whatever and then running around with people. And I'm like, don't you have that backward?
Yeah, because...
that's super backward.
That is so not what you're known for.
That is
so not one of the two things you're known for.
I am so disappointed. I am so disappointed and angry, and it's so strange that I will assume that things being said by the participants in the show are said the way they are said. They sound so ludicrous, but I'm assuming they are keeping to their own side and defending themselves, probably because they are legally bound to do so.
Yeah, everybody's got to sign agreements once you agree to be on the show, especially if you're featured on the show, that you can't necessarily backtalk the thing you're a part of.
Because
your face is attached to it. Your name is attached to it.
There were tweets from, I think it was one of the pair of girls that worked together, who had tweets about, treat the doctor girls nice, they were upset about us being out-of-towners, blah, blah, blah. There she goes, continuing to use this out-of-towners line that these girls were dubbed over with, which was not what they said. In fact, the girls themselves didn't say anything. It was just some dude in the audience yelling about getting rid of the sci-fi plants, not out-of-towners. So they're continuing to use this vocabulary that the show created. Yeah. So, correct me if I'm wrong, that further proves the point that they have to be saying what they're saying.
Yes.
In order to...
Until a certain amount of time has passed to where you could legally not be held liable for what you're saying, and then you could come forth and say, hey, you know what? This is what really happened.
So really, it's pretty despicable. And it was questioned that us producers online shouldn't really be saying anything because we don't know the whole story, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we've listened to two sides of the story, and the only side of the story we haven't further heard from is 51 Minds, the producers of this show and many, many, many other reality shows out there, most of which are more controlled environments, and this appears to be the worst one.
Well, I would argue that what more do you need to hear from them other than the product that they've already put out?
Yeah, they've made their statement in the show. In the creation of the show. So, I mean, if this show ever happens again, I'm sticking to my guns, and a number of other producers are as well, in that nobody should watch it, nobody should participate in it. Conventions, please, for the love of God, do not allow them to work with you. It's just manipulative beyond all reason, and will make every party look terrible. Yes. Every party looks terrible.
Because I don't think anybody came out on top on this.
Not a single person ended up looking good. That having been said, I think we can finally, unless something else incredibly disturbing crops up, I think we can put this to bed. And just kind of...
Yeah, let's move on with the show. It was a little longer than we normally go on a follow-up, but... Moving on. I had brought up earlier that the 2020 Olympics won the bid, that Tokyo won the bid for the 2020 Summer Olympics. That's amazing. I'm gonna go. Tokyo.
There's not 3 syllables. There's technically 4 syllables. You know what? Anyway, so that's gonna be really freaking awesome. They're planning on renovating Tokyo Big Sight for that year. If you don't know what Tokyo Big Sight is, I mean, if you've watched much anime, or in some cases played any number of games that take place within
or even
Tokyo,
certain dramas, things like that,
it shows up a lot. It's like this triple upside down pyramid thing on these enormous pillars. It stands on Odaiba, this very small man-made island in Tokyo Bay. Where
they have the Gundam.
Where they have the giant, the life-size Gundam.
Right.
It sits on that same island. Digimon fans would also know Odaiba because that's where the original crew came from. Anyway, that's where Tokyo Big Sight is. So, and it holds everything.
Like, it's basically like the Madison Square Garden of Japan.
It's one of the biggest, like, convention-style centers I have ever seen in my life.
Now, that's correct, you've actually been there.
Been there a number of times, actually. I was there in 2006 for the Tokyo Game Show. I went to the 2008 and 2010 Tokyo International Anime Fairs. I went to Wonder Festival, which was a toy and model fair completely filled to the brim.
See, that's the one I'm jealous about, that you got to go to that.
Toys and figures, and oh my god. Went to this really awesome Tokyo Firefighters promotional day where they had like this crazy parade.
Yeah, the way you describe it boggles my mind that you were so entranced by firefighters.
Well, these guys
talk
are
about this
so
thing,
extreme.
You make it sound like it's dang circus or something.
It was, because it had guys on stilts. Okay, they built this fake wall that then had fire coming out the windows, and there's people yelling, "Help! Help! Dasuke! Dasuke! Help! Help!" And then these guys like have to rope in.
Rappel.
Yeah, they rappel down on, and they like break a fake window, and then pull these guys out and carry them down over their shoulders. And then because it's in the bay, then suddenly boats show up, okay? And they're spraying water on this building from the boat. And then planes go overhead, alright? And they're dropping their anti-fire, whatever that red stuff is.
Red water.
It's not just red water.
I know.
They drop it into the bay. There's all this music. They all perform music, like all these guys are musicians or in some way have some sort of crazy skill. There's all this marching and singing and marching bands, and it was like every single member of the Tokyo Fire Department was there, and it's like if there is a fire anywhere within this city is screwed.
Unless
right
it's
now.
like right here in the bay.
Which, that's stupid, the bay is full of water.
And firefighters.
Like, they're fine. In any case, I want to say I went to one other thing, but now I'm not rightly remembering. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, Tokyo Big Sight is friggin' huge. However, even with being as big as it is, it also holds comic market. It's been going on for years and years and years, and there's two every year. There's a winter and a summer one. Unfortunately, Summer Olympics.
Yeah. Now, Comiket, to put in perspective for people who don't know, Comiket to the Japanese is like what SDCC is over here to us.
That's kind of a stretch.
In terms of size.
In terms of size, yes.
But not in terms of content, though. It's more about manga and
specifically fan-made manga.
Doujinshi.
Doujinshi circles in specific. There's fan-made comics about certain different kinds of things and different fandoms, and
people go and trade and buy different manga there.
A lot of pornography, and that's part of what this story is about. But I want to give you this impression, all right? This picture, picture if you can, this massive space, and it already has filled to the brim issues. Mm-hmm. They've been concerned as year and year goes by,
because it only gets bigger.
Yeah, and then it has to stretch outside, and people wait outside for a week, even though legally they're not supposed to, but they don't seem to do much about it.
Yeah, you have people take off all this vacation time from their jobs to go to this thing, set up camp, and then there's the event, and then you've got and there's a lot of cosplay there too as well, right?
Yeah, you know what's really interesting? It's apparently, despite how much cosplay comes out of Japan, It's incredibly taboo to just walk around in cosplay. In fact, Comiket says, do not show up dressed in costume. You can't do it. You have to go and register at the cosplay booth, and then go change in their cosplay area, and then stand around in the cosplay square outside and have your photo taken. You have to
Please
change
keep within the square. Photographers do not feed the cosplayers after midnight. So on and so forth.
Anyway, that having been said, what further... I'm personally envisioning a very difficult time as far as visitors and overcrowding is concerned. Although that's not actually the news story. The news story is more in relation to Japan's child pornography laws.
Well, it does say here, before you get right into that the convention will not be held, and I'm reading from Anime News Network here, the convention will not be held at Tokyo Big Sight for 3 sessions as a result of renovations. So where are they going to move Comic-Con?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, because Tokyo Big Sight is friggin' huge, and is logistically, the only place these people fit. I have no idea where these people are gonna go. That makes no sense to me. I don't know where else they would put it. Like, they'd have to put it inside some other sort of music hall, or something. There's one near Yoyogi Park, maybe? I can't...
Or hold a bunch of smaller Comic-Cons over the year to try and make up for it?
I don't know. Like, I'm concerned that would have overcrowding, because people just try and show up to that all the time. To further go into the news article, though, current child pornography laws in Tokyo are kind of all over the place based on district, alright? But considering how just there's going to be this massive influx of foreigners coming into Tokyo, and they're not gonna understand culturally, you know, just how young you can draw your naked chicks. Or naked dudes, or naked boths, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So they're making a proposal to leave it at the age of 18. Nowhere under 18. So, you know, more similar to US-ish laws. I would personally approve of that. Granted, I am an American and that's what I'm used to, and I don't necessarily want to look at people under the age of 18 naked, or in other very uncomfortable positions. See, that's the problem. Comic-Con just has lots of pornography.
Like, pretty much
everything.
It's Rule 34.
Yeah,
much.
If it exists, there's pornography of it, and especially if it's underage. But to them, I mean, underage is debatable. So, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people at this particular Comic-Con in the future.
Basically, they want to make sure the area, the country looks good in the international eye.
Yeah, in the eye of the visitor. That just plain makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And, you know what? I would be pretty willing to bet that there's a number of people within society there in Japan who probably feel very similarly as well. I mean, it's not like they don't have censorship laws, it's just they've, you know, fluctuated as to just how lax they are over time. They either get increasingly stringent, or they're like, oh, all you really need is this black bar, and even then it doesn't even need to be that big of a black bar. Like, it goes all over the place all the time.
Unfortunately, with some of those black bars, it is just the tip argument.
But, I mean, maybe this will be another case of, alright, we're cranking it up for the sake solely of the Olympic times, and then maybe they'll reduce the restrictions again sometime after that. I don't really know.
Here's the thing that I'm wondering about. They say that they're going to be renovating Tokyo Big Sight, hopefully to make it bigger.
I don't know. It's already, like, what can they do to it?
Add extra upside-down triangles? I mean, pyramids, I should say.
Because, like, it already is this vision of... I don't know. You would have to add more to it, and then it almost wouldn't be the same Tokyo Big Sight anymore.
Yeah, they should just make a man-made island.
Because...
They could do it.
You mean Odaiba?
Yeah, another Odaiba. Like Odaiba...
Odaiba
Neo
2?
Odaiba. Yeah, Neo Odaiba 2. There you go.
I don't know about that. Because all I'm saying is that there's not much of the inside to renovate, because it is like big open space. I don't know if I have anybody who's listening who's from the UK or has ever been there, but I went to the London MCM Expo, and that where they hold that is very similar. Just a very big open convention hall space. There's nothing much more to renovate there. It's just very open. So I don't know what more they can do to it. I really don't. And good luck with that pornography law, guys. You've got a few years.
Well, that's the good thing about it. They've got relatively a little over or around 7 years to work this out. So
right.
Hopefully this change will be good. They'll have a nice, clean, big site. Bigger site. That'll be it. Tokyo
even bigger site.
Yes, Tokyo even bigger site.
Alright. Nothing much else to say.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and move on to my topic.
Oh boy.
Alright, so just this week on the 16th, a Indiegogo campaign was started for this Batman fan series that takes place within the universe of the Christopher Nolan trilogy of Batman films, entitled The Dark Knight Legacy. This first video has been released. It's available on YouTube, and anybody can go watch it. It's hosted by Machinima.
It's notable to say that there's no Batman in this.
Yes, that is part of it. The story takes off where The Dark Knight Rises left off, following the story of Robin, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character in the movie, an invented character. And I'm reading this description off superherohype.com. Dark Knight Legacy is a fan film set 1 year after The Dark Knight Rises, following John Blake's heroic journey to protect the symbol of Batman from the lethal, relentless attacks of a masked vigilante known only as the Red Hood. Now, for most people coming into this, fresh off, The Dark Knight Rises, the previous trilogy, not many people are going to know some of the characters that you'll see here in this little 7-minute clip. And I think that's the reason why people are funding it. It's only been going on for a few days, and they've already raised over $12,000 with a $30,000 goal, which seems very feasible.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's no Mighty Number 9 or anything, but, considering this is a fan project without studio backing or anything, they're doing a pretty good job, I'd say.
I would agree with that. And the thing about it is, against most other fan... Well, I don't know if I want to say fan. I guess I want to say not studio productions. Things like Mortal Kombat Legacy, the Street Fighter one that's being filmed right now, and now this. There are certain things that these fan movies bring to the table, which is to bring something out that is viewable to an audience that wants to see it, but a studio will never put out.
Right.
Now, the thing about this is... the story follows John Blake taking on the role of Nightwing, assuming that he became Nightwing, that he was filling in that Robin.
I really wish I could have seen a little bit more of that costume.
Oh, of course. Especially in The Dark Knight Rises, you get that tease of, oh, he just found the Batcave, and now here's the platform. Are we going to see a costume? No.
Like, you kind of see a dude, and he's in a costume, and it probably looks pretty alright, but, they don't give a good shot. Well, hopefully that's where this crowdfunding goes, to create more of this so that we can further see it.
Because the thing about that is, when you really think about it, the public at large has this collective knowledge about who is who. If you point out a symbol to them, okay, I'm showing you this yellow oval with a bat in it. Who's this representative of? Oh, that's Batman. Can you tell me who Batman is? Bruce Wayne. Okay, cool. I'm going to show you this other picture. It's a guy in a red and green leotard with a mask and a yellow cape. Oh, that's Robin. Can you tell me who Robin is?
Any number of people.
Will probably say, oh, that's Dick Grayson. Now, change the costume a little and tell them, okay, who's this? Well, that looks like Robin. Okay, you're right. Can you tell me which Robin this is? And they're not going to know. Because unless you're into the comics, unless you're into now these Warner Brothers animated movies that they're putting out, you don't really know about the
Which
extended...
are good movies, by the way.
Oh, yes, very good movies. I can't say enough about them. You're not really familiar, or even the Arkham games, you don't really know about these characters, about Red Hood, about Nightwing, about especially in this little movie, we have a police officer by the name of Stephanie Brown, and readers of the comic would know that's, spoiler, Batgirl, Robin, any number of aliases that character has taken on, notably enough played by Chloe Dykstra from Heroes of Cosplay. And so, yeah, it feeds into that whole Nolan-esque thing of, especially what he set up in the last one, where we don't exactly have all of the characterizations correct, but we're at least showing, hey, I know a name, it's important, I'll kind of move it around to make it a little bit more realistic.
Right.
And instead of her being, from what I can tell, the daughter of a crime boss here, she's just a cop. Just much the way they turned the idea of Robin into the John Blake character.
May I just say that those cops looked, unfortunately, very not cop-like and a little wooden and just very unnatural cops.
Well, admittedly, what beat cop in uniform, not in civvies, would be chewing gum while holding on to a shotgun?
I don't know, a bad cop. I mean, I'm sure it happens.
Yeah. And
it's, as she kind of mentioned herself, almost every other cop in town is crooked.
Well, yes,
So...
again, very much set in the Nolan universe. And the thing that I like about this project is the fact that 100% of the proceeds is going straight to production. Nobody's making a dime off this. Now, granted, there are, just like every other campaign that's crowdfunded, you have your incentives. You can get a hold of a copy of the finished product. You can get t-shirts, even a replica of the Red Hood mask, which I think looks pretty awesome, in the grand scheme of things. And here, I guess that's important to touch on. The idea of the Red Hood will never be seen on a screen produced by DC and Warner Brothers. Because Red Hood, that's a whole bunch of story that you can't rightly tell the full engrossing story of.
Right.
Because, like I said, most people know Dick Grayson Robin. Some people know Tim Drake. I don't know how many people nowadays know Jason Todd still.
I know Jason Todd mostly in name.
See, and a lot of people are like that. The average person doesn't know who Jason Todd is. And, I guess for the people listening who don't know, Jason Todd was actually the second Robin who, took over after Dick Grayson left, became Robin, and was beaten to death by the Joker in the 80s. And then subsequently later replaced by Tim Drake. Well, what ended up happening was he was, through one means or another, brought back from the dead, trained up further, and took on this vigilante persona of the Red Hood, who's basically...
And see, I know the Red Hood as the Red Hood. I mean, because I'm not that deep of a comic reader, I don't connect those two names together as quickly.
Right. And that's the thing about it. The average person, I said that very quickly right now, but the average person, in order to get all of that to them, you would have to watch something like Under the Red Hood, the animated movie, and really that's the best place to put it, because to put it on screen, there's a lot of story you gotta tell. And that's kind of the thing about Batman in general, that universe, is that we're always going to have to see these same, 2 or 3 movies that we get out of him. Okay, we got the origin story, he'll fight one guy, and then he'll fight another guy.
Well, I suppose it sort of expects a lot out of the viewer to try and watch something more than a trilogy or so, unless you happen to be Harry friggin' Potter. Because, and even then, it's all based on one character. Because when you're talking about a far larger world, you're talking about a whole bunch of very intertwined characters.
Yes.
Thus making it that you have to invest your time in a lot of different movies to get the full picture and full understanding, otherwise you risk your audience being lost. So obviously this fan film is made purely with fans in mind as well.
Right.
Or people who started to get curious, I would assume, too. But it's... I understand, it's unfortunate, but I understand the business aspect of it in Hollywood in that most of the casual viewers who otherwise are going to see, you know, a fun action flick but don't necessarily care whether or not it's a superhero, they can't be expected to watch more than a trilogy of one dude.
Right.
And then go out and branch out into
arguments
its
of,
universe.
yeah, like you said, investment and attention span. Case in point, just to bring it up for a second, the next Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, you know, I guess most people listening to this would know, Ultron was created originally by Hank Pym, Ant-Man. And if you're looking at the timeline for when these movies are going to be released, Age of Ultron comes out before Edgar Wright directs the Ant-Man movie, so they're having to change his origin, the origin of how Ultron is created. But if you're the average viewer, you don't know anything about that. He's just going to be another guy.
Right.
But if you're a comic reader, or heck, even if you saw Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, you know, hey, there's something wrong here. They're changing a pretty large chunk of the story. So it's nice that, you know, we have this fan film here, you know, getting back to topic, that is... Granted, even though they're taking the liberties that Nolan would take, it's nice that they're even giving any sort of service to it to begin with.
What did you say were some of the rewards? I remember hearing the mask being one of the rewards
that's
for
the
this
top
Kickstarter.
Reward. Like I said, this is a very, you know, all things considered, low budget, you know,
There's still
30,000.
really cool rewards for contributing.
Yes, the top one for a gift of $5,000, you get a replica of the Red Hood mask. For $3,000, you get to be a walk-on part. They'll cast you as someone from the Batman universe, and then you'll get to say a line or two.
Wow.
And then a lot lower than that, you know, you have a DVD of the movie, custom comic art, you on the cover of a comic as, you know, Batman, as Nightwing, as Red Hood, or even as Stephanie Brown.
Yeah,
And
they're
so
pretty cool. They're pretty cool rewards for a very simple campaign. Oh, it's Indiegogo, not
Yes.
a Kickstarter.
Yes,
yeah.
it's Indiegogo. So, and the thing about the difference between Kickstarter and Indiegogo is the difference of, with an Indiegogo, you get to keep what you make even if you don't
make the goal.
Right. Whereas with Kickstarter, if you don't make your goal, you have to give back what was donated.
It just immediately refunds the money.
So, you know, it makes sense that they would go with something like this to make sure that they're solidifying the chance to make anything. Even if they don't make goal, they'll still have something to work with.
I think that's good, even in like $12,000 as it is. That gives them a pretty dang good start.
Yes.
It's a pretty dang good head start, I would say. That probably doesn't give them everything they need. They probably accounted for the, 30,000... Or no, what's the full total they need?
30,000.
Yeah. The 30,000 that... They probably calculated exactly what it is. In fact, they have a budget just to show everyone here exactly what they need. 66% of it being production and camera and electrics, grip, art, sound, wardrobe, hair and makeup.
Because let's not kid ourselves, people. That stuff is expensive.
Oh yeah. Which is exactly why for years, doing the anniversary projects on that guy with the glasses, it was required that there be either donation drives or other campaigns, selling campaigns for DVDs and photos, that sort of thing, just to even get us out there to shoot to begin with. Not to mention to be able to have the equipment and the costumes necessary, even to put on something meager like a web series. Like that, you would be surprised how much even a web series takes.
And yet, even then, you know, once you have a finished product, and you would know about this best out of the two of us, how happy people are when you get to see that finished product.
Oh yeah, just seeing it, and then the option of holding that finished product in your hand, too, with DVD releases, it feels really great. Not just as a person participating in the project, but the person who was waiting for this project to come out. Because, you know, the internet can be a marvelous tool
Absolutely.
in the release of creative properties. And I think it's something that is mostly untapped, but a lot of people are learning to utilize it properly, and
more so in the last few years than before. And really, to top it all off, I'd just say, yeah, if you guys have the option, go ahead and look up on Indiegogo this project, the Dark Knight Legacy. Give what you can. I think the smallest you can give is like, what, $1 or $5, something like that. something real simple.
You need to at least give $1 if it's anything like Kickstarter, but the perks start at the $5 mark.
So yes, absolutely. I encourage you guys, go ahead and get out there. Support this thing if you're a fan of Nightwing, the Red Hood, or even Stephanie Brown, get on it. Get with it, act like you want it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what's next?
Moving on to our last topic. This year at Universal Studios Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights 23, they are bringing over to American shores for the Japanese Biohazard, for us Resident Evil video games as a live attraction.
Ooh.
That takes over a good chunk of the park. And it happens between September 20th, tomorrow, as far as our recording is concerned, and November 2nd over at Universal Studios. And this is one of several areas that they'll have. They have a Resident Evil area, they have a Silent Hill area, a Cabin in the Woods area, but really right now what we want to focus on is the Resident Evil area.
Because the Resident Evil one seems to be the only video game-related one making it over to the U.S. park, is that right?
Yeah, well, that and Silent Hill.
And Silent Hill. Well, Silent Hill is a popular franchise over here, too, as far as movies are concerned. So that just plain makes sense. But I guess they haven't reported terribly much on the Silent Hill portion then, huh? Because all I'm hearing about is the Resident Evil junk.
Well, the reason for that being is because with Resident Evil, they've already done it once over in Japan with their Biohazard attraction. And luckily we were able to get a hold of some footage, looking around on YouTube. And this thing looks freaking nuts. This thing is amazing.
Well, it looks really atmospherically great. I do have a couple of things that I'm just about. Now, granted, you see Jill and you see Claire running around shooting things, and then you see Nemesis coming out, and
Nemesis looks sweet. Come on, don't even front.
I wish he would just yell some stars every so often, but he just doesn't do anything. He kind of walks out, he stands there and he looks menacing, and then he walks away. And that's the big problem I have with a bunch of the zombies that then come around and walk around. That's all they do. If all they were gonna do was shuffle, alright. I mean, I wish they would lunge at people from time to time, but then...
heck, even haunted houses around here, they lunge.
Yeah, lunge, but don't touch. That's the rule. You can't touch people. But then, they start doing weird acrobatics.
Okay, that admittedly was a little weird.
All over this car, climbing on top of it, and then tumbling over it, and then, bridge crab walking up the hood and onto the roof, and
I think it's worth noting that along with the zombies, along with Nemesis, and along with the lickers, you've also got the dog walking around. This guy in a dog suit.
And I'm like, screw that dog.
No, forget that dog. Bump that dog.
That ruined my experience with first Resident Evil. A little bit of the second too, but first in particular. I mean, come on, the control schemes for the first couple of Resident Evils didn't exactly make that any easier.
No,
but, that having been said, screw those dogs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So that was kind of freaky. I mean, they had really weird... it was obviously a dude in a dog suit, but he was on these weird stilt-like things to make him walk around much more like a dog with the backwards bending elbows and
I think because of that makes it a little bit more reminiscent of the first Resident Evil game, the way the dog could move.
What, that it was just so blocky?
Yeah.
I guess, unless you're talking about the remake version.
No, I'm talking about the original blocky sort of dog that would ruin your night.
Well, these Resident Evil themed things going on in Universal, they seem to be more based around Resident Evil 2. Going from the house incident to the Raccoon City incident. So, this is it has spilled over into Raccoon City, and, Stars is out there, they gotta do something about all this. And what's this thing, this attraction that Japan has where they're able to run around with guns and stuff?
Well, see, this is the notable difference between the two, and I'm glad you brought it up. As far as the Biohazard, and I'll use that to distinguish, Resident Evil over here, Biohazard over there. For the Biohazard exhibit, there was a portion where you were basically running through a haunted house with plant actors, there as zombies, and at the front what they would do is they would have a girl there dressed as a STARS agent, and they would give you this cool little, basically a gun attached to a little wrist-mounted sensor, and it basically was a game of laser tag. You would go through this haunted house, zombies would jump out at you, and you would shoot them with this little laser pistol.
I want to participate in that, but I'm never going to get over there in time. It's just not going to happen.
It's not just that, it's the fact that we can't do that over here now.
No, I mean, like, going over there to participate.
Oh, no, I'm absolutely in favor of, getting tickets over there for Halloween and then participating in that. But the sad part is, especially with events as they are this week, tragic as they may be, that's kind of the reason why we can't have something like that over here.
Because somebody's got to spoil it for everybody, and then America has to be very, very afraid.
Well, and yeah, it's kind of the sad fact that we live with over here is that we can't really do too much with guns over here, even if we're kidding.
Yeah, it's incredibly unfortunate. Makes me wonder, actually. I know this is mildly off topic, but only mildly because there's a zombie walk that happens in town every year and in lots of cities around the country. And we've taken fake guns through downtown San Antonio to shoot these zombies.
I think I see where you're going with this. And now,
like we've walked plainly in front of cops before, and even then I was nervous about doing it.
Well,
but
to put it in perspective, yes, there's a zombie walk here in San Antonio every year, usually the Sunday before Halloween.
Right.
And both Kaylin and I have made the point to go every year as survivors rather than zombies. And as such, we've had, fake guns, brightly colored weaponry. And even last year, we were a little bit worried about it because before we had to worry about Aurora and now Sandy Hook and now, this thing over in D.C., we're always worried about just how much they're going to tighten up on security when a nerdy event happens that in any way, shape, or form involves gunplay.
Yeah, so I really don't know how well it's going to fly this year. We're going to have to look that information up. But I know that was getting off topic, but it was in relation to zombies and shooting.
Yes. And the other thing that we're not getting over here, far as I know, is that they also had this nice little biohazard cafe.
Yeah, well, that cafe wasn't attached to Universal Studios, was it?
It was.
Was it? I thought it was its own thing.
I'm pretty sure it was part of the exhibit.
I'm actually not so sure about that, because, there's themed cafes all over the place. There's a themed Gundam cafe that's not attached to anything. There was once a themed Sakura Taisen cafe that was not attached to anything. I really don't know. You'll have to bring that up again at some other point. But that cafe was pretty rockin' too.
Oh yeah, especially since they had all the nice memorabilia along the walls.
That also appears to take place somewhere between the end of Resident Evil 1 and the beginning of Resident Evil 2.
See, that's the thing that I'm wondering about. Like, why are we still sticking with old Resident Evil when we're up to, Resident Evil 5?
Because those were the... Okay, I shouldn't say the good Resident Evils, because the admittedly...
Good is a relative term when you're speaking about Resident Evil.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll put it this way. There's a plain atmospheric difference between older Resident Evils and newer Resident Evils. I, for one, was never a fan of the control scheme, even before the control scheme changed around Resident Evil 4. Actually, it might have been... Anyway, so it really was a biohazard. We totally screwed up by trying to call it Resident Evil, because yes, the first game took place in a house. I get that. But it was that these zombies were created, biologically.
Biological weapons.
Through biological means. So, and of course, there's biological zombies from 4 on up as well, but it's just a complete atmospheric difference. There's something more shady and spooky to the classic couple of games, whereas the newer ones are it's more action, it's more things are jumping out at you, and you're running, and there's lots of gun shooting, and it's less about how much ammo you have to preserve, although that is still in there. So I think that Japan really likes to hold on to the older games because, I mean, to them, maybe they like them better. I think that the newer games are something that a Western audience appreciates more.
Yeah,
quite
I can
frankly.
see that. I can see that.
Because a Western audience likes to shoot them up real bad.
And that's kind of the disappointing thing, because I'm not going to lie, I'd be one of those people that want to shoot them up with a little laser pistol.
Shmup.
Yeah, shmup. At Universal Studios, but, you know, from the looks of it, we won't get the chance. But, yeah, they'll have all of these different attractions there. You'll have, I'm waiting for more information for the Silent Hill one, but they haven't really, like I said, they haven't really said anything yet. For sure they're having the Evil Dead maze. I don't know exactly how that's going to work out. If I'm running through the maze and then I accidentally bump into Bruce Campbell's chin.
Well, I can tell you, if it's anything like the haunted house that, like, this was years ago that I went to Universal Studios Florida. There was a haunted house that was based on old horror monster type movies created by Universal Studios, and stuff would kind of lunge at you and then fall back into place, and they'd kind of like waltz you through it, and it was unfortunately way overcrowded, and they just were like, alright, come on through, alright, come on through, alright, come on through, and it was just kind of a line through the house. So I would imagine it's like characters from the movies just kind of coming out, and then they'll go blah every so often and then fall back into place, and then you walk away, and they're not allowed to touch you.
Right.
So there's nothing to be scared of, really.
Well, especially for this, they'll have different characters, I assume, face characters for Jill and Claire, and perhaps even, Mila Jovovich from the movies. Maybe not.
I mean, that would be scary.
What, having Mila Jovovich pop out at you?
Yes.
But Leeloo Dallas Multipass. There's nothing scary about that.
Well, maybe not then, but probably now.
I don't know. I don't find that scary.
You know what? You can't possibly understand.
I don't think you understand.
I don't think you... What are we talking about anymore? I don't think we have a topic anymore.
You know?
I think we're done.
Well, yeah,
Because
I
if
guess...
at this point we're rambling about things that don't matter and we don't even know what we're saying anymore, then what's even the point?
Okay, fine.
What is even the point?
I'll concede that. So yeah, if you guys are in the Orlando area...
Or if you're in Tokyo, for that matter.
Yes, definitely go to these attractions. Let us know what they're like. Send pictures.
Send footage if you can.
Postcard.
Postcard with your face screaming, maybe. Or just kind of smiling and pointing at a zombie, like
you got your arm around Nemesis, and he's like threatening to bite you.
But only he can't say that. All he can say is stars, and that's if they let him say that.
Yes.
Please go. Please take me with you.
Yes, please take Kaylin with you.
Let me ride in your car. Let me ride in your car.
Let me shoot the zombies.
I'll pump your gas for you. I promise I'll pump your gas for you.
For the love of anything, won't you please let Kaylin go with you to Halloween nights over in Orlando? Okay, now we're done.
All right. All that having been said, thank you for listening to us yet again. I don't know why you keep doing it, but you do, so I appreciate it.
Yes.
We'll be back next week, somewhere around the same vague time.
Same vague time, same vague... Well, no, it's the same definite...
Same definite YouTube channel?
Yes.
Okay, we really need to stop talking.
We need to get a producer.
We are the producers, though.
But you were saying last week we needed a producer.
I don't think I said any such thing.
I think I can prove it.
I remember saying it.
Okay, great.
I remember saying it.
In the meantime, if you guys have anything to talk to us about what we talked about tonight, or even if you've got a potential story, just be sure to hit us up on Twitter.
I'm at MarsGirlProd.
And I'm at Josh Knight First.
That having been said, thanks again for listening to Beyond the Black Rims, and we'll see you next week.
Take care. Take care. Take care. Take care. Take care. Take care.